I first came to Mount Pulaski in 1997. I'd applied for a few different teaching positions coming out of SIU, but Mount Pulaski is my very first interview. I was going to interview with Joe Zimmerman. I had some handwritten directions to get to the high school building. I'd never been in town before. I actually drove by the corner of Cook and Spring a couple times and did see the old building. I actually thought that it was an old high school, maybe that wasn't used anymore. Eventually I saw somebody walk out the front door, the side door, and I said, "Hey, can you tell me where the high school building's at?" And the gentleman said, "This is it." So I proceeded to go in and interview with Principal Zimmerman. But my first impression of this building 21 years ago is that it was an old and shuttered school building that was no longer used. A yes vote on the $10 million question will replace this old building. As a history teacher, I'll admit I love this building. The history in this building is immense, and I feel it every time I come in. There are students that are attending here now as my students in 2018 whose great-grandmother went here 75 years ago, or whose uncle went here 25 years ago, or whose mom and dad went here. It's extremely unique in that respect. That said, this building needs replaced. 2 years ago, a piece of the overhang literally fell to the ground right in front of the door during the school day. Thank goodness no one was injured. Every part of the building exterior was built in 1912 and 1926. The 1912 part was obviously before big construction equipment. The biggest pieces of this school building were pulled into place with horsepower. We have a buzzer system for security. Once buzzed in, a guest has free reign of the entire school. We hope people stop by the office when they come up the steps, but there's no door or no foyer area that stops them from going wherever they want. The new school, as planned, would have such a security area. How many people have walked on these floors? The history in this hallway, every time I walk through it, I'm just wowed by the number of people who have simply walked these steps. This building has served its time for sure. I think that everyone in this school community needs to see the condition of this building. In this building, we have 6 active classrooms, our administrative offices, our guidance counselor's office and the nurse's station, our weight room, and a secondary gym for PE. We also have our library learning center, 2 restrooms, and all freshman lockers on the 3rd floor. I also think everyone needs to take a look at the guts, or the downstairs area of this building. The rooms and the areas on the bottom level. We have 6 classrooms in the old building that are still active. Many of them have the same issues. Lots of cracks in walls, uneven floors, old century-old radiators that you have to dial on and off with a plastic handheld dial at the very, very end. Many of these other rooms in the building that aren't in use, a lot of people like to say, well, they've been abandoned because of low student enrollment. That's not the case at all. The rooms that have been abandoned are because they're no longer usable. They have ceiling problems, flooring problems, just structural problems that make it so we don't want to allow students into those areas anymore at all. They're locked, they're shut, no one goes in. There are 2 bathrooms in the old 1912 and 1926 building. Just seeing the pictures of the bathrooms really say all you need to know about the comfort level of going in there to use the facility to wash your hands. A few of the water fountains in this old part of the building have been deemed unsafe to drink from, not because of any problem with the water fountain itself, but because of the pipes that lead to the actual water fountain. The secondary gym is usually referred to as the old gym, and it's been in usage since 1926. What we're looking at is called a sport court. A few years ago, half of the gymnasium had really rotted out planks. Those planks were removed, everything underneath was cleaned up, and then a new floor was put down over half the gym. The new school plan does call for a replacement of the secondary gym. for practice sessions and for PE purposes. On many occasions, I've been with sports teams that have lifted weights in our weight room. The equipment we have in here is actually exactly what we need to help our athletes gain strength. The room itself and the area adjacent is a really depressing looking area. The walls are really rotting away, the ceilings and lighting are in bad shape. There's absolutely zero outside light that comes into the area. The old building is equipped with numerous handicap platforms. The idea being that a wheelchair-bound person could be placed on this platform and then mechanically lifted from floor to floor. All I would say about these lifts are that my daughter is wheelchair-bound. She's in 7th grade. If she's in this building in 9th grade, I will never allow her to be lifted via these platforms. Being that the old building was built in 1912, it was never equipped with any kind of modern electrical equipment, and it's really not supposed to house such equipment. We have had some people come up with some pretty good ideas, such as housing wires inside of PVC pieces. That said, we still have breaker boxes that are accessible in student areas, meaning anyone could walk up to these breaker boxes and have access to them at any time during the school day. There is no air conditioning in the older part of the building, the 1912 or the 1926 parts. I teach on the 3rd floor. I brought a thermometer in many times. The highest recorded temperature in my room, 94.7 degrees. It's usually 85 plus degrees in my room for at least the first month of school, and then some years even further out than that. Then it turns to fall and you're thinking, hey, it's okay up here. And then the boiler fires up. I open my windows a lot in the winter just to let heat escape because I can't control the climate in my classroom.
A lot of people like to argue that spending $10 million on 150 kids is just a huge waste of money. It would actually be about 40 to 50 graduates per year for the next 50 years, which equals over 2,000 students. Everything that we have seen would be replaced with a yes vote on the November 6th referendum. Vote yes for the students that are here now. Vote yes for the students that will attend MPHS in the future. Vote yes for our community. Vote yes for our schools.